Funicular railways are a particular passion of mine. The fact that these railways can climb inclines that are seemingly impossible to most is fascinating, and when I go to Scarborough, it's a fun and convenient way to travel without tackling that hill. Over in Switzerland, the Alps play home to the village of Stoos. The village is home to around a few hundred people and sits about 1,300 metres above sea level. But the views are unparalleled, and if you want to get away from it all, the high altitude is perfect as there is only one access road which only the locals can use, and this is only seldom. But with no buses and almost no cars, how do you get to the town? Up until 1933, the only way to get to the town was on foot. During the summer, it was a hike, but manageable. However, the winter brought heavy snow, effectively cutting off the village and its inhabitants. Some would come down the mountain for the winter and then travel back up again for the summer. In 1933, both the increasing tourist trade and for supplies to the village, a funicular railway was built. It became a lifeline to the village and allowed it to expand its tourism. The funicular connected to the town of Schwyz, then ran through Murtal and Moskach. It was still a steep climb with a 78% gradient. But it was managed, and for the next 90 years the funicular was adapted and changed. The town flourished, and the public loved the skiing and the hospitality in the winter, and the local cheese market made from the local cows in the summer. There were no bars or clubs, just simple peace and quiet at the top of the world. But when the new millennium approached, there was a real concern that the Stoos lifeline, the funicular, was getting too old and too costly to repair. In 2004, it was decided by the municipality of the Moskach to conduct a feasibility study to look at alternative options. The road was still out of the question. The village couldn't take a large amount of traffic, and a road would destroy the aesthetic. Another option was a cable car, but while this worked in similar villages, it wouldn't work here, as the Seegis shooting range was close by, and there was no guarantee that a suspended cars would be safe from a stray bullet. While a suspended cable car was out of the question, the same route could easily support another funicular. Being low to the ground, the funicular could easily be protected from the range, but the route had a gradient of more than 78%. It was, and I kid you not, a gradient of 110. In 2011, the firm Garavanta won a tender for the electric equipment, while the firm Implania won a contract for the track and the tunnels. It took a further 2 years of planning and a little court drama to get the pieces together, and in July of 2013, construction began. But the project suffered a large setback when the company supplying the cableway to transport the material and tools up the mountain went into administration and ultimately dissolved. This left the project scrambling to get an alternative supplier, and it delayed the project by a good 6 months, dashing the hope of using the good summer weather to make a decent head start. The tunnel work commenced the following May. However, drilling into the heart of the mountain was tough on man and machine, and a lot of money was used to replace worn equipment. The length of the railway was just under 1,750 metres, and it took around 7 minutes to traverse. Unlike the other funicular, the railway has just one single track with a passing loop around about halfway, where 2 trains would pass over. The carriages, though, would make the train truly unique. Each train can carry 136 passengers across 4 cars, and the carriage offers full panoramic views as you travel up and down the valley. But unlike normal funiculars, which rely on a constant gradient, the Stoosbahn funiculars' gradient can vary as they go over the line. Now this can be a bit of a problem. If the floor of the carriage was fixed, when it hit the gradient, the passengers would fall out of their seats. So the only way to literally keep the passengers upright is to allow the floor to self-level. Now you might think this is easy, just add weight to the floor and allow the capsule to rotate, But it's a lot more intricate than that. It is true that each pod can move independently within the train, but that movement is carefully controlled by sensors in the pod and on the track. As the train moves, the sensors on the track tell the pod the angle the track is, and in turn the pod sensors tell hydraulic cylinders that control the rotation how far to turn the pod and its occupants. That way, while the train is at its maximum gradient, the passengers can still enjoy a splendid view, all while being perfectly level. As the old funicular wound down in 2017, the new one took its place. People marvelled at the technology, and the ease of access allowed anyone to travel up and down the mountain with ease. The new funicular became the main lifeline for the village and for the tourists, and it is a wonderful way to travel. For a few francs, tourists and locals can travel up and down the mountain in just a few short minutes, and the railway can do several trips an hour. It truly is a unique railway, taking the funicular into the 21st century.